And now, the best stage in the game. So Starlight Zone here looks pretty good. Doesn't look amazing compared to, say, some of the stages in the later Sonic games, but within this game it looks pretty nice. Mainly though, I love this zone's music. Without a doubt, it is my favorite track in the game. It's just such a catchy tune and it's so peaceful, which is a bit surprising given this is the second to last stage in the game. Though, it definitely fits this zone, which is peaceful in general, again, even though that's a bit weird. In fact, this is actually one of the easier stages in the game. In fairness, the bottom paths in some of these acts can actually be a little tricky for me, so I try to avoid them, but for the most part, Starlight is pretty short and easy overall, so it's a nice breather after Labyrinth Zone and before the fairly difficult final area of the game. Of course, there are some annoyances here, mainly the enemies. They're the little orbit robots. They don't actually fire their projectiles off this time. Of course, given we're not underwater, they're probably a little less difficult to avoid, so this time they just use those spike balls as a shield, so you really can't do anything about them. Even worse, though, are the bombs. Now, the bombs explode, sending some projectiles in both directions, but the main problem I have with them is the fact that you can't really do anything to damage them. Like, in this recording, when I was, doing attempts, I tried hitting them by rolling into them or jumping on top of them, but neither of those methods actually worked, and they ended up hitting me all the time, so I don't like the bomb enemies, because they are annoying. And now we're already in Act 2. Now, make sure to get 50 rings here if you haven't gotten all the Chaos Emeralds, because this is actually your last chance to get a Chaos Emerald, so if you're at 5, make sure to get 50. If you're at 4 or less, well, or 4 or fewer rather, but yeah, don't even bother, because you don't get another chance after this. Yes, there is another full zone after Starlight, but you can't get Chaos Emeralds there. So, no chance of doing that. We also have these seesaws, which are fairly important. Basically, what you want to do on top of these is spring the spike ball up, then stand as close to the edge as you possibly can, and the rest of it is basically just momentum. And it should go without saying, but don't land on the spiky balls, because they will hurt. These fans are also pretty annoying, because you'd think they'd fire you pretty far in one direction, but nope, you just run towards them, get stopped, and then you have to limp away in the other direction. However, this is a very short stage, because even with that botch at the end, I still beat it in under a minute. So yeah, pretty easy stage there. And we're already at Act 3. Bit of a shame that Starlight Zone's so short. 'Tis a brilliant stage, but it burns out quite quickly like a bright shiny thing that goes out in a brilliant flash of light. Light bulbs, that's it. Of course, here we'll be seeing a lot more enemies and the like, so it's not going to be completely enjoyable. We're going to be seeing a lot of bombs. Speaking of a lot of bombs, I have tried to go for that invincibility before, but I generally get hit before it actually activates, so I didn't bother going after it this run, so there you go. Thankfully, I'm also fairly high up in the stage, so I'm in the fairly easy portion. Ooh, of course, these guys are going to be a nuisance. Yeah, their projectiles... Jeez, that's an obstacle that comes out of nowhere. But yeah, their projectiles do fly upwards in a bit of an arc, so do beware of that, even if you're above them. Yeah, the little swingy thingamajig back there. You can stand on the top, of course, but I'd not really want to ride a thing that was so close to killing me, or at the very least whacking me upside the head when I didn't have a shield. Rude. Oh, okay, how is that even remotely fair? That just demands you stop and wait for enemies to explode. Anyway, here's the boss. Robotnik is still lazy with his robots this time around. This time he just fires out spiky balls that explode after a while. Kind of a combination of bombs and the seesaw bombs we've been seeing, or seesaw, whatever. There are two ways to hit this guy. Either you hit him with a projectile, or you bounce up from the projectile and hit him instead. He's not a difficult boss by any means, but he can be tricky to hit if you don't get a good rhythm going. Because if you don't get a good rhythm, then you'll just end up missing him over and over again. He does also take a fair number of hits, so this battle is a bit slow. But nonetheless, again, it is pretty easy, so as long as you just be, a little patient if you're not the best at this, you'll still make it through A-OK. I mean, you're in no danger of hitting the 10-minute limit, so, well, you shouldn't be anyway. If you take 9 minutes in Starlight Zone, I don't even know what's wrong with you. But anyway, it was a short stage, but it was a fun one nonetheless. But now that we're done with Starlight Zone, we move on to the final zone in the game.